Hello there. I originally wasn't going to make a new video until, well, May after I get back from a nice little vacation, but the awesome people over at Atomic Mass Games gave me this opportunity to share some awesome new team tactic cards with you all. My name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers Guild. Let's be real, you probably don't want me to spend a few minutes hyping these cards up. You would probably really just like to see them all. So I'll get right to that, but I do want to go ahead and clarify that three of these cards come from the new Spider-Foe character pack featuring Vulture, Sandman, Electro, and Shocker, while Masked Menace comes with Scarlet Spider and Gwenom, all of these things releasing in May. So let's dive in. First, I'm going to talk about the Team Up Team Tactic card, Static Arc. This is an unaffiliated active team tactic card that will have Sandman and Electro teaming up. It will require both of these characters to spend one power, and for all of Sandman's grunts to be within range 5 of each other, as well as Sandman himself. Then, after all of that is done, you get to draw a line between each of your two sand constructs, assuming you have two out at the time, and a line between Sandman and each of his sand constructs. Each enemy character overlapped by one or more of these lines suffers a damage and gains the shock special condition. So this card is really cool and can potentially neuter your opponent's offensive output for a round by quite a bit if you can get it off just right. I say this because both Sandman and his constructs have attacks that push enemy characters of any size. So between the constructs getting to move and attack, as well as Sandman's activation, it shouldn't be too hard to line up several enemy models to take damage and gain the shock condition for just 2 power. Especially since all Electro needs to do in this is not be dazed and spend 1 power to make it happen. This card is going to put a target on your sand constructs, though, but I don't think that's going to be an all bad thing since they are immune to collisions, meaning your opponent will have to waste actions to deal with the potential of Static Arc. Next up, we have maybe the most ubiquitous card for the Spider Foes, well, at least of the ones I'm talking about here. If you want to hear about the rest of the cards coming in these packs that haven't already been shown off, check out the Gamer Guild podcast where Shadow Marvel and the gang go over some of the other weapons being added to the foe's arsenal. Link down in the description below. Anyways, Surprise Webhead was, well, a surprise to me. This one is a Spider Foe affiliated active team tactic card built to take down a spider or even a Hulk. It says any number of allied spider foes may spend 2 power to play this card. Then choose an enemy character. Each character that spent power may immediately perform an attack with a power cost of 0, targeting the chosen character. So, this is a bit more restricted Siege of Darkness. But, well, it's still a Siege of Darkness level card. This is likely 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 extra attacks going into one target. Now, there is the one downside in that you may overspend on power, and maybe that first attack is enough to daze or KO the target. However, if that's the big downside here, then I feel like you are still having a pretty good day, since the objective was pay power to kill the target, and the target was taken care of. Obviously, plenty of these characters will enjoy making an extra attack, especially Sandman with a beam that can then move the target towards other characters. Goblin may be getting to incinerate somebody before everybody else wails on them. There's all sorts of really cool opportunities here. But my personal pick is getting this off on Kraven's turn. First reason, even if Kraven is out of range himself, he can still pop off Expert Tracker, letting everyone get an extra attack die on all of those attacks. Secondly, if you have already managed a Kukri strike into the target, you could be getting 2 7-die builders or even 8-die builders with Expert Tracker, thanks to his Spear Thrust getting some extra punching power. All that to say, I think this makes Kraven a big game hunter, worth fearing with this card available. The final foes card I'm going to be talking about, and also maybe the coolest of the bunch, is Founding Members, which of course represents the original Sinister Six members joining together. This is a foes affiliated team tactic card that is reactive, played during the power phase by any spider foe for free. Then for this round, each time an enemy character suffers damage from an allied effect, choose one of the listed allied characters within range 2 of the enemy character. The enemy character gains a condition related to that listed character. So, for instance, if a enemy character takes damage from one of your allied effects and Sandman is within two of the damaged character, they can gain the slow condition. If Vulture is within two, bleed, Mysterio, Hex, Otto Octavius, Stun, Electro, Shock, and Craven Poison. I don't know what else to say except this card is awesome. I do have one downside that I'll hit on, but first let's hit the highlights. This card, while limited to one status condition per instance of damage, is still not limited to once per turn. This card has ways to put out three of the best four status conditions with Shock, Stun, and Hex. We are missing the burn, sure, but really, Sandman's slow is really good also on the matchup, depending on the character that you can hit the slow on. Now, here's the crazy thing. It's not just allied attacks. That means all of the foe's different, well, traps get to use this trigger reactively. Green Goblin detonates a building, Mysterio uses his illusion thing, Electro responds to taking damage or by somebody moving too close, Craven's corner the beast, and so on. I could go on, but I won't because there are really just too many things in this affiliation for it to proc off of. Now, sure, it won't be as effective against a team like the Guardians of the Galaxy who make pew pew noises from far away, but any teams or characters that need to get in close to get work done are going to be hamstrung by this card as long as you're running a few of the original Sinister Six. And with Electro, Otto, and Sandman on that list, it's going to be pretty worthwhile on its own, especially when it comes things on missions like Gamma or Researcher. Now, the one downside I do have about this card is you can't run the original Sinister Six and have a leadership at 20 threat. It's just 21 threat, unfortunately. So that's the one downside here. It's a thematic thing. Still a really cool card and good card. And then finally, we have a card that almost sounds like it could have been a Spider-Foes card to like help defame the heroes or something, but instead this is here to power up the Web Warriors. Menace is a webhead affiliated reactive team tactic card that is played during the power phase by up to three different webheads who each spend one to play this card. Then each character that paid a power may place a camera token onto the battlefield, not within range 3 of another camera. When an allied character within 3 of a camera token deals damage to an enemy character with an attack or superpower, they gain 1 additional power. Now, this wording is a little bit weird because it says additional power, but I'm 99% sure this means you will get to gain a power whenever a character is within photo op range and deals a damage. Now, the webbing holding up the cameras only lasts till the end of the round, but that could still easily be an extra 2 to 3 power for a lot of the web warriors for the turn that this card is played. Obviously, the characters that come in the pack will enjoy this because they both have character throws that can get a partial refund back. But then you also have characters like the other Venoms, Three-Peat, Moon Knight, Daredevil, who can all easily get 3+ power back for each of the photos they are turning into the Daily Bugle that round. For those wondering, the camera tokens are 1 inch in diameter, just like the objective tokens, in case what you're just curious what they're going to be dealing with on the board. Honestly, this card really helps both the objective-oriented web warriors who don't really want to deal a lot of damage, but are always looking for a bit more power. So suddenly those 4 dice impact webbings get generating 2 power while maybe dealing a plink damage. Does a lot of work for these style teams. Then for the more damage-focused web warrior teams, more power for what they want to be doing anyways just works out really well, and is probably stapled to that style team just below all webbed up. So those are the 4 team tactic cards I'm talking about today. If you want to hear about the other team tactic cards, including a spin on a rotated card that helped me clinch the finals game at Adepticon a couple of years ago, check out the podcast where you can get a breakdown on those cards. Thank you again to Atomic Mass Games for the chance to give a breakdown on these cards a bit ahead of time. And then after I get back from my trip, I'll be painting up either Scarlet Spider or Gwenum on stream. Which one gets painted first will be determined by a poll coming this Friday that you all can vote on. I do want to take a moment to also shout out the guild sponsors who make this content possible. If you're in the UK, you can shop at Tritex Games using the code TritexGGCP5 at checkout for an extra 5% off. And if you use this code on a pre-order item like the new Web Warriors and Foes coming out next month, it will net you a total 25% off. If you're in the US, you can shop at gamechefs.org, where you can use the code GamersGuild for 15% off your order, in addition to any discounted items that are already in your cart. As always, though, if you have an LGS you are playing at, we encourage you to support where you play. There are a few things I want to mention in this video before signing off. First, there is yet another new podcast joining the Gamer Guild family. The Sons of Mandalore have risen yet again. You can listen to Justin Z, aka Jimmy DeHand, Brian H, aka Cruisin, and myself talk about the TCG Star Wars Unlimited in a casually competitive way as we talk about some tips for ideas with play patterns, strategy, and more. The next episode will focus on draft, and while it may be hard to jump in one soon, what we talk about will be applicable to more than just the first set draft. We're not just like talking specific cards, but also just kind of general strategy. I also want to take a moment and say if you are enjoying the content here on YouTube or one of the different podcasts and you want to support our efforts directly, you can support us over on Patreon. As well, if you want to join in silly discussions or ask questions to be answered from rules to general advice, you can join the Guild Hall Discord page that has a link down in the description as well. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.